There is a number floating around online that says once you hit this certain income level, that's when you should incorporate. This number is wrong. My name is Nicole. I'm a dual licensed CPA, and let's walk through together why there is no magic number for incorporation. So one of the major benefits of incorporating, aside from creditor protection, you being separate from your business for legal purposes, is tax deferral. So typically, individuals are taxed at much higher rates than corporations. You are taxed at your graduated marginal tax rates, and the rates are applied at different levels. In a company, especially a CCPC, which is a Canadian controlled private corporation, which most, especially newly incorporated companies, would qualify for, that income, the first $500,000 that is earned in a CCPC is taxed at only 11%. So in BC, the highest marginal tax rate right now is about 53%. So if you contrast that against the 11% that your corporation gets access to, that is a huge spread. So the idea is that we want to leave as much money as possible to be taxed at 11% versus potentially 50 something percent. Another way to look at this is that, say you earn $1 of profit. If this $1 is paid out to you personally in BC, you're going to only have 50 cents left over from that dollar. But if you leave it in the company itself is going to have 89 cents left on that dollar. That means if the company were to invest that 89 cents, that's 89 cents earning returns at, let's call it 7% for argument's sake, versus if you were to invest your 50 cents, that's only 50 cents that is earning returns at 7%. So this is what we refer to as tax deferral. Basically, you will pay tax on it eventually, when eventually all of this income that is being earned and generated in your company is paid out to you personally. But in the meantime, it can be left there. It's taxed at this lower CCPC rate, and then it can just earn returns and compound within your company. One small caveat on investment income, because that is taxed at a higher percentage. But for argument's sake, and to keep things simple, think of your business income is only taxed at 11% on the first 500,000, but that same income would be taxed at your graduated rates if you are to receive it personally. So this is why there is no magic number, because you can have two women each earning $150,000 in their corporation. But if one of them needs to pay out that full $150,000 to herself personally to fund her lifestyle, to pay her mortgage, whatever it may be, and there's nothing left in the corporation to be taxed at that 11% rate, then it defeats the entire purpose of having a corporation for pure tax deferral purposes. However, if our other woman who makes $150,000 a year, say she only needs 100 of that 150 to fund her lifestyle. That means that the 50,000 is going to access that 11% rate, and the 100 will be taxed at her graduated rates. So our second woman is going to be taxed lower overall because she's potentially in a lower tax bracket personally, because she's earning less personal income, and because she's leaving a big chunk of the income in her company to access that 11% rate. The number I always see online telling people to incorporate is 100,000. So once you hit 100,000 of revenue, then you should incorporate. But this is why 100,000 could mean something completely different to you than it does to me. And there are fees associated with incorporating. So you're going to have your legal fees for setting the company up in the first place, incorporation costs. That can be up to, or higher than $1,000 in legal fees just to get your corporation going. There are also ongoing legal fees. You need certain documents to be prepared every single year and filed. And so that might be another couple $100 in legal fees that are incurred just by virtue of this corporation existing. Then there are tax and accounting fees. Each corporation, because it's a separate legal entity from you, needs its own T2, its corporate tax return completed. And corporate tax returns tend to be the turning point where people no longer want to do their tax themselves if they have been doing it on their own before, because it does get substantially more complicated. So your tax fees, and for your accountant to be able to do your tax return at the end of the year, they need books to work from. So you are going to need to have some kind of bookkeeping in place. Whether you do that yourself, you're going to need some kind of software that you have to pay for, or whether you hire a bookkeeper to do your accounting. That is additional fees also related to having a corporation. So this magical $100,000 number that gets thrown around online actually means nothing if you are spending or having to pay out that entire $100,000, because now you are paying every single year to maintain this structure that is not actually benefiting you in any way. You're not achieving any tax deferral. So the real signal should be your surplus, not your income. So that's the amount of money that you can leave in your corporation. If you are at a point in your business where you do not need to pay out every dollar to yourself personally to fund your lifestyle and pay your bills, then you might start to be in a position to incorporate. But incorporating any sooner than that is just going to cost you. Thanks for watching. Please let me know in the comments whether there are topics you'd like me to cover, and subscribe to follow along for more.